So I'm going to show you how I did certain effects on my video. I used Premiere Pro and After Effects. I also used Photoshop, but that was for print work, so I'm not going to go through that one. All was CS6. So the first one I'm going to go through is Premiere Pro. I only did 2 effects on here because most of our effects were just done on After Effects. I spelled Premiere wrong there, sorry about that. The 2 effects I used on Premiere Pro were the split screen and constant power. I put crossfade, but I wrote that one wrong. It's constant power, and I used it on a sound effect. So the first one I used was constant power. I used it on the alarm clock sound effect at the beginning. It was just to fade it in so it didn't start off so loud. I think it worked really well. Just me playing around with it to see whether it's good. And the next one I used was the split screen. I didn't actually use an actual effect for it. I just placed 2 clips on top of each other and adjusted the scale and position. I keyframed the position so that it would start off from the outside of the frame and it would move inwards. I'm just playing around with the position to show you all. And then I scaled it so that they would fit in a certain place, and I ended the keyframe and then where I wanted it to end, so it just moves by itself. And the transition we found was very effective, and we just use a colour mat for the background just to tie it in with everything else. And then the last thing I used was After Effects. I used quite a few on here just because they have better effects and it just looks a lot better, more professional. So I used masks. Now this was used for pretty much every single one, just for background colour and stuff I'll show you. And then I used superimpose to add like Vanessa's name onto an introduction. Keyframe was a big part of it as well because we just used it to set a lot of the transitions. Colour key was used to get rid of like white background in some of the superimposed things and some of the images I transferred into After Effects. Drop shadow was used to make some images and text stand out. Bulge was used quite a lot. I'll show you how I use that one. CC Particle World, that was used for smoke, for sparkles. Glow was used in the same one. Frame hold is just what we use to set each image for our introductions. CC burn and CC bend, I'll also show you what happens. So we'll start off with Vanessa's composition. That's the first one we did. So as I was saying about masks, I had to mask out Vanessa and then set a colour solid for the background. That's the same colour solid as used in the Premiere Pro and in print work, just to tie it all in. It's the same pink colour. I feathered the edges as well so it wouldn't be so harsh. And then the next thing I did was Vanessa's name. I actually got someone to just write Vanessa with a black marker on a piece of white paper and just filmed it. Now, because I filmed it, when I used the colour key to get rid of the white background, I didn't get rid of all of it, and there was certain shades of background white that I couldn't get rid of. So, as you can see, in a minute, I set a lot of colour keys, probably about 15. And I also keyframed some of the masks I made to get rid of even more white background because some of it just wasn't, as you can see there's a lot of masks around where Vanessa's name is written. I had to keyframe the opacity so that you could see it, and then in some frames you couldn't. On the side on the left there's all the colour keys are set. Some of them weren't even all white, some of them were quite purple. Because it was not a picture, it was a video, so there's a lot more different shades of white to get rid of. But there's a lot of masks as well that I had to use. But in the end, you managed to see Vanessa's hand and the name Vanessa without much white background, so it turned out well. I also had to shape a lot of the masks around the letters, like the S and the A's, to make sure that there was very minimal white background. I can smell the So the next one is the Mean Girls one. We keyframed again the frame that we wanted the introduction to appear on, and we masked out the 3 Mean Girls and then set the exact same colour solid. I'm glad you like your we set the exact same colour solid, the pink one in the background, and then we wrote each name in lipstick and then changed the colour by using the change colour effect to quite a pinky ombre effect, which we thought was a lot better than the original red lipstick colour that we used. We did all of this in a separate composition and added it to the Mean Girls one because there's a lot of work to be done in it. So we didn't want to have too many layers on it. And then these kiss marks were also done on paper, then we just transferred them. And we also changed them to the exact same colour as the text. And we put bulge effect on it as well. We had to set it quite precisely to how a kiss would look on a screen. So we started from the centre and worked our way out, which involved quite a few keyframes. That's me just playing around with the bulge just to get it in the centre but also make it look as natural as possible. The effect was done quite quickly, so it wasn't that noticeable anyway, but we think it definitely makes a difference. And we started some of the kisses at different times, like later, so that they wouldn't all appear at once, as you can see with the bars. So the next thing I did was add the particle, the sparkles and the glows. So we used CC Particle World, which added the little diamond sparkles across it, and we made them fall down just by changing the gravity. And we also changed the birth and death rate to white and pink so that it wouldn't change that much in colour during the introduction. Another thing we added was glow behind each of the Mean Girls so that they would stand out a lot more. It's not too noticeable, but when you look closely you can see the glow kind of shimmering a bit in the background, and it goes quite well with the sparkles coming down. We also added a drop shadow to each of the names and the kisses just to make them stand out a bit more. Another thing we did with the names was keyframe how they came on. So we started off with them quite zoomed in, and then we ended them right on where they are so that it gives the effect of them being placed onto the screen, as you can see. So in the Nerds one, we did the same pink background. We masked around them again. Same solid at the bottom layer. The first thing we did was set the black solid, which we used as kind of like the typing cursor. So as their names are being typed, there's that black rectangle flashing on and off the screen. To do that, there was a lot of keyframing involved. And we keyframed the opacity and the movement as well, so that it would flash on and off, but it also move across the screen to match with each letter. And as I'll show you, we had to keyframe each letter to match each keyframe of the cursor, so that it would flash at a certain time when the letter was on or off, which took quite a while, but it was worth it in the end because it looked like it was actually being typed. So for the text, we just used a basic After Effects font. We just picked the most computerized one. And we think it works really well. We added a drop shadow to this as well because it makes it stand out. So the next bit was adding the little animations like the nerd ones. We Google searched all of them. We just typed in like maths and science and books and glasses and stuff. And we had quite a few of them. We just duplicated them, changed the size and the orientation. So we messed around them and we added a graffiti background which just said chavs, which we put, I think it was a subtract effect on just to make it less visible. We also added black graffiti drips, which were just done by masking out on a black solid and then just adding it in, and we keyframed the end position and start position so that it just moved down by itself. The chav names were just, we just got them from a website, just customised the colour and the names. And then we added the smoke effect, which was done with the same CC particle world, but instead of diamonds, we made it into black spheres, which once we added the colour in it and the transitions and everything and the gravity, it just looked like smoke coming in from the side. We also used CC burn, which was used after they'd be graffitied on, so it looked like they'd just been painted on. For the last bit, for the titles, we used the same standard After Effects text, just normal, quite basic. We keyframed the start position, but we didn't have a frame hold on it because we didn't want the frame to be still. We wanted it to move. So we used quite a few effects on the stuck in the middle text. We had them come in from each side of the frame, and we also added a bend to them so that it would kind of be like they're crashing into each other. And then we'd have in the middle coming in, so we needed to add a bulge and shift them back. So we'd shift stuck and middle back so that we'd have room for in there. We also changed the colour to blue to match other aspects of our print work and video. We also added CC Particle World again to show the crash. Once they crash together, we'd have like a big explosion. We added light rays as well, just to add to the effect. It was a bit much, but we think it definitely gives a good effect, and it is exciting for the viewer to see things like that, because if it was just quite boring, it wouldn't interest them as much. So we had a lot of explosions and rays, I think, definitely in our clip. Again, we changed the gravity so that it wouldn't fall down, it would fall towards the camera, because explosions start off by coming towards you. Also, we changed the birth and death rate so that they wouldn't be that much of a strong colour, so just white and light pink again. And for the two little texts at the bottom, the written by, and for the two other texts at the bottom, it was written by, and it was just me and Matilda's name at the bottom, just written in quite a sketchy type of font, which was used for print work as well. As you can see, the light ray there, it's quite present and obvious, and it gives a really good effect, and it does make it look like they're crashing into each other. And then something else that we had to do was talk about all the digital media that we used. We used quite a few in all processes, not in research, planning and production and evaluation. Facebook was one that we used for to get feedback, so it was definitely one that we used for evaluation and to see whether our audience actually enjoyed it. YouTube was used throughout everything, as you can see on the blog. Wix was what we used for the blog to create it, and it was definitely really good. SoundCloud, we used that for our question 3 evaluation, just to give a bit of commentary. And SurveyMonkey was used for research, so we used that to ask questions, to see what they wanted. Google Chrome, we used that to search for things, like the graffiti website, and just to get like images of, and to find clips from other things and images and stuff from other shows to help us with characterization, and to also get research on CUBC. So definitely very helpful. We used all of these quite broadly throughout everything, especially YouTube, which we use for every single stage, like filming, planning productions, putting it on YouTube, doing first drafts, second drafts, putting that on YouTube, and then putting that on Facebook to get feedback. So this is just the blog and how we edited it. Wix was quite easy to use, and it looked really good as well. They had a lot of different themes and fonts that we tried to match to our products as best as possible, and I think we did quite a good job. The background image is just a behind-the-scenes picture, which you can see on planning page for opening sequence. We took quite a few pictures, and this was one of them. And we just thought it was good because it shows the Chavs and the Mean Girls. And also some of the rods that we used for the dolly, so it kind of shows us how we filmed it. And then we go on YouTube. That's our final draft on YouTube. It's got 169 views when I filmed it. And on the side you can see the playlist of all the different like bloopers and first draft audience feedback. The test screening we did, it's all on YouTube because we wanted it. So that's everything that, well, not everything. That's a lot of what we did on Premiere Pro and After Effects, and just talking you through it, just to show you the different things that we used and all the work that went into it. And we're definitely pleased with our product at the end.